Now what we're going to need to do is go ahead and cut this right along this body line, and that's a great place to hide this seam that we're going to end up having. How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we're going to be installing paint protection film on this mirror. So this is a 2018 Jaguar F-Type, and we're going to go ahead and bulk this mirror. Now it's like a fine mirror. It's a little bit tough, and there's definitely going to be a huge relief cut right here all the way around, and it just really has to be that way. There's no way to stretch all of this on and get the coverage kind of around the corner here, because what we're going to be going for is coverage that comes like this. So everything out here should be covered, and for that, you'll see, we need a seam in it. So the seam will start about somewhere in here and then just run all the way down and around the corner. Let's get going. All right, so I've already clay barred this and wiped it all down with rubbing alcohol. Make sure we don't have any waxes or or anything on there. Contamination or waxes. Just got a scrap piece of material here. And today this material is Suntech, and this is their Ultra Tack. So I really like the Ultra, and then the Ultra Tack is just super, super tacky. So, all right, so what we're gonna do first is we're gonna just take this and stretch it over the top of this, like so. And what we want is the majority basically of this entire top surface here to be laying down real flat. So everything from like here around here all laying down nice and flat. Now we need to get on this real quick and get this squeegeed out. Hope that. There we go. Okay. Because these lines here that are going this way are going to end up leaving distortions in the adhesive if we don't get those squeegeed out quickly. And I spent all that time screwing around talking to you guys, and it did leave those distortions. So let's get this pulled back up and laid back down, and then I just really need to get after this. Okay. Let's pull all this back like that. No pre-tacking is what we need. And now we're just, basically you just want to give it enough stretch to get this stuff to go down. You don't want to overstretch, so just as much as we need. That time was kind of nice because this is already stuck down here, so I didn't have to hold that in place this time. Okay, and that's another nice thing about this Ultra Tack is that it's really tacky. So once you get it on there and squeegee it out, boom, it's stuck. Okay, I'll go ahead and okay, so we're plenty over the edge here. Let's sneak that down just a little bit more, although we're not going to be going, you know, I just want to get that very edge down. We're not trying to get really much more coverage out of it than that. That's plenty. Because the thing I don't want to do is overstretch this material. And then that, because that's just going to create failures. So what we're going for on the top here is that coverage. And we'll probably trim off like right about here. And so we want to just stretch just enough to get all this stuff to lay down nice and flat. And that's good enough for the stretch. Now, at this point, what we need to go ahead and do is make sure that we didn't leave any moisture or anything. And then we need to go ahead and trim this. so that we can get all this stuff to lay flat. There's just way too much going on here. And actually, let's do one more thing real quick. I want to get this corner here sticking down just a little bit better. Okay. Now what we're going to need to do is go ahead and cut this right along this body line, and that's a great place to hide this seam that we're going to end up having. I'm going to go ahead and start way back here. And then just right along this body line. And what we need to do is we need to come back as far as we need stretch. So right about in here somewhere. Should be good right there. Let's see if we can get that to break loose now. Put this away so we don't scratch something or cut ourselves. Let's see if I can see where I was cutting. Okay, that should give us a line to tear from. Fantastic. Okay, right there. Great, we'll let that hang out for a moment. Now what we want to do is get some tack in this edge. And then let's go ahead and make sure that this edge is fully stuck down so that we can bump up against it out in here without it popping up. So we'll let that cure for just a moment. Another thing that's a good idea to do is, so this, we would prefer if this line just stayed straight the whole way through instead of rounding up. And so we could go through and cut that, and that would help us with this install. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and do that with a pair of scissors. So the other side I just took and stretched it right over and into place, and I just kept this top edge lined up really well. But I had to keep doing this with it, turning it downward and turning it downward and then putting more stretch in it, because when you're pulling it across like this, and see how when we pull this nice and tight, this keeps just veering up. So then if you bring it down, all of a sudden you're creating more fingers on the bottom. So that's a bit of an issue. And so what we're gonna be doing by cutting this is hoping to eliminate that from being a problem. We just want to make that come to a really fine point, like that. Okay, and that's a little bit not straight, but that's going to be just fine when we pull this into place. Okay, let's get some slip in here. Okay. So we want to just get enough stretch to get rid of this stuff here. We want this stuff to all bump into itself so we don't leave a big gap that's going to catch a bunch of you know, dirt and things over time. Okay, so I'm just pushing this stuff up and into each other so we can get that as tight as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but as tight as possible. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out around the corner. Just double checking, make sure we've got everything squeegeed out really well. Hold that in place for a moment. Okay, and then now what I want to do is cut this bottom off. So first let's get that tacked down a little bit better. So let's close that, or open it, however you want to put that. If it's closing it or opening it. But put it back where it's supposed to be. Okay, then we'll take this stuff down and do a swipe and hold there, because if this is stuck down on the edge, it'll definitely help us cut it. It'll be easier to cut. Hey Abby, if you get it back in the computer there, you can go ahead and get the headlights cut out.
Okay. Just the headlights?
Yeah, for the next piece, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're all the way down to that edge. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna come around the corner here. And where the areas where it's not, the paint protection film is not fully stuck down, I'll do like a little sawing motion to get through that material. That way you don't just fold the little fingers over the top of each other. Okay, there. Then we'll come up. Okay, and then when we get to there, I'm gonna go ahead and do that same thing where we peel this back and go all the way through. That gives us a line to cut with, or to tear with on our cut line. Just keep an eye on that. Make sure that it's not, make sure it's staying on your cut line. Okay. Now what we want to do is get some more tack in that edge. Okay, and we'll go ahead and push this out. And now that that edge is trimmed, it'll really help it stay down. All these edges that continued to pop up because they were holding water and things like that, because the pattern was, way going further over the edge, that will just continue to make the material pop up and pop up and pop up. Okay, and we'll go ahead and dry off this bottom edge. That dry edge will also help keep that material down. All right, so I'm just drying out this line here. Everything's looking really good. We're gonna need to trim right here, and we're gonna need to trim across the top. So across the top, I'm gonna give that a little bit more time to cure, and let's go ahead and trim this one. So I just started using these. I have contacts in, and my prescription just changed. So it's making it harder for me to see up close. So these are brand spanking new. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit extra light as well. Perfect. Okay, so from right here, come up to here. And at the very end, I'm gonna do kind of a rounded corner, probably closer to being like a 45 than rounded. Terrific. Go ahead and dry that edge out. Make sure it's staying down nicely. Okay, so I mean we're right here with our edge, and so more than far enough over there. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's go ahead and cut this now. Great. Hey, just drying this edge out now. Okay, I'm gonna grab the heat gun, we'll heat seal this, and this will be ready to go. Get this seam. Get this edge here, which had a little bit of extra stretch on it. Get that really good. Get this bottom really good. That had some fingers. Okay, and let's get this side. Okay, and then we'll get the rest of this bottom here. Just warming up this whole mirror cap, get this stuff really cured. That's not really necessary, but it's a little bit on the chillier side today. Okay. All right, terrific. Well, that's the process of bulking this little bit more difficult mirror on a 2018 Jaguar F-Type. So if you guys found something helpful there, please give the video a thumbs up. Takes just a second. Subscribe if you'd like to see some more content like this, and we'll see you guys on the next one.